To introduce our presenter for the webinar, Josh Frank, the managing partner at RSM Federal. As an award-winning business coach, professional speaker, and best-selling author, Josh Frank is nationally recognized as an authority on government sales and business acceleration, and his coaching has helped companies win more than $2 billion in government contracts. So welcome, Josh, and thanks for being with us today.
You betcha. All right, so first time I'm talking, my audio sounds good?
Sounds good.
Excellent. You can see the slide?
I can.
Beautiful. All right. So we're going to be talking about business development today. Real quick, she already touched on most of this. I've been working with the Nebraska PTAC, the NBDC, for a couple years now, and always enjoy giving these webinars. And today's is, I think, is a fun one. I've been in the market for over 30 years. I'm a former Intel guy with the Army and a huge small business advocate. And so let's start with some expectations. We're going to be talking basic to advanced concepts today. Even the advanced ones, you'll get them. And if you have questions, you can always email me afterwards. We're looking at a little over an hour, including Q&A. Slides you've already, are off to the side. What we're going to talk about, how you look at commissions. We're going to talk about the different types of business developers. Look, I was a business developer for many years, right? I'm still a business developer. My company stood up a new division, a new operating division for B2G, for government. Within 2 weeks, we won an $82,000 contract with the VA in South Carolina. That was just last week, right? So I'm going to talk about the different types. Really important, how do you interview them? Okay, so that you're not getting some average BD person that you think is awesome, but excuse my French, they suck and they don't really make you any money. Very important. We're going to talk about compensation plans. Give you a couple case studies. We'll talk escalators. And then we'll also talk about when do you pay your salespeople? And especially if someone resigns or you terminate them, what are your obligations? So we're going to cover a lot of very important information today. But let's start with compensation and what your expectations should be, okay? I often hear from companies, and I've either through national conferences, folks that have read my book, our clients, our members, over 10,000 companies. These 5 are the most common that I hear. Hey, you know what? I'll worry about paying somebody a lot of money once the company makes a lot of money. Okay, that's fairly common. I'm going to pay my business developers more when we hit a certain threshold, right? This one drives me bonkers. I'm going to pay them more when they've proven they're worth it. Anybody that says this doesn't understand the process in terms of hiring somebody that's strong. This is somebody that says, I'll pay them more when they've proven it, is somebody that needs to better understand how to incentivize, how to interview, and how to ensure you're getting somebody that's strong. And we'll talk about the questions you ask here in a moment. I'll consider it after they close a large deal. That's like the one above. And this one, I'm not paying anybody, $400,000 a year, let alone 150. Okay. Now, obviously, and some people, it's not in my slides, but I'll go down a rabbit hole. Yeah, if you're in DC, if you're in the Beltway, this is a common statement. The average salary for a strong salesperson is $250,000. There's some truth to that. Okay. If you're anywhere else in the country, well, East Coast, West Coast, a little bit more, Midwest, a good base salary could be between $60,000 and $85,000. You're not going to find that in the Beltway. However, I will say this. The average for salespeople in the Beltway is not 250,000. Okay, that's what salespeople are trying to convince you to pay them. Okay, there's no right or wrong to this answer. However, you are in business to make money, and so you need to understand the concepts I'm going to walk you through, and you need to remove the barriers. In many respects, this webinar, this seminar, this session, whatever we want to call it today, is really market agnostic. It doesn't matter whether we're talking government or we're talking commercial, private or public sector, okay? And so we need to remove some barriers so that you understand how to do this. Let's move to the type of business developers, okay? 90% are average. Lock this into your mind. 90% of the salespeople in the market are just average. There's going to be a lot of activity. They're going to be, constantly working in their spreadsheet, constantly working in their CRM, Zoho, Salesforce, whatever system you may use. For most small companies, you start with a spreadsheet, right? However, let me go down a rabbit hole. For 15 bucks, 10 bucks, whatever it is now a month, you can have Zoho CRM. I'm not getting paid by Zoho. I have no relationship with them, but it's an awesome tool to track your prospects and to manage a pipeline, okay? However, the average sales professional spends most of their time updating stuff because management wants to know where they are. They have very little strategic direction. They don't know who their strategic targets are. They're just looking in BetaSAM, or they're looking in DIBS if you sell product. They're looking in eBuy if you have a GSA schedule, and they're just finding ops and bidding on them, okay? That's not gonna win you a lot of contracts. They're focused on selling your product or service instead of the value that your product or service provides. Now, if you want to better understand how, excuse me, if you want to better understand how to communicate value, reach out to Catherine because at the Nebraska NBDC, the PTAC, because I've done a webinar in the past on communicating value, so you can grab that from her. But that's critical because most salespeople, I sell this product, we provide this service. No, you need to communicate the value because there's 100 companies, 1,000 companies that sell what your company sells. Average folks are very reactive. They're just focused on finding RFPs and RFQs. They're not focused on building relationships. They're not focused on strategic pre-acquisition. They're not focused on sources sought. They're not focused on calling the government, asking questions. That is a downfall because whatever business developer you have, salesperson you have, they need to be focused in pre-acquisition. If they grow your company at all, it's going to be really small, okay? And they almost never make their quota, right? Josh, I'm bringing you on as a business developer. I need your quota is $2 million. You need to bring $2 million in gross revenue. Average, 9 out of 10 business developers, sales professionals, doesn't matter the market, commercial, government, they will never hit that number. 9 out of 10. That's average. Now, most of you that are listening to me today, or those that are listening maybe to this on demand, are saying, "Yeah, Josh, tell me something we don't know." Right? All of you think about how many salespeople you've hired, over the years, and how many you fired. The next one are the stars, 9%. Okay. They are either really good at business development or they're really good at sales, but not both. And what do I mean by that? They're really good at, getting to decision makers, talking to champions within the agency or the military command. They are serving it up on a platter, but they can't take it the final mile. They can't actually close the sale and get something awarded, okay? that if you're a business developer, so what I'm saying is, you're really good at bringing it one way, but not closing, or you're really good at closing, but you don't have the tactics and strategies of how to actually position in the market. Now, for many of you, you're going, okay, this is very high level. We get it. Hang tight, because I'm going to be getting to questions you ask during interview that'll help you identify all these pieces: average versus stars, focus business versus sales. In a crowded room, those stars, they will talk to people they don't know, and they're going to make their quota. Okay. And they'll increase your revenue by 10 to 50%. And then you have the superstars, 1%. 1 out of every 100 sales professionals are superstars. Okay. 9 out of every 100 are going to be stars. And then, 90 are going to be your average. The superstars, they're going to talk to everyone, and they're going to double your revenue. All of you that are small businesses listening to this today, you can afford to hire those superstars. Every single one of you can afford to do it. And I'm going to show you today how you position in order to do it. Okay? Because all of you are asking, obviously, well, gee, how do I get one of these? You got to ask the right questions. Now, before we jump into questions, you need to have accurate expectations about how long it takes to win a contract. The sales cycle is going to be the same. Now, if you're a product company, as I just proved last week, you can win a contract lightning fast on the commodity side, on the product side, as long as you have an IRS tax ID number, a DUNS number, soon to be a SAMI number. You've got a SAM account, and you have an accountant DIBS, DIBBS, DLA's Internet Bid Board System. You can do it really fast. But for service companies, it's going to take you a lot longer, right? But regardless of product or service, your sales cycle is going to be constant. There are parts of it that you can accelerate, and there are parts that you can't, okay? And salespeople still have to perform certain activities. And so the most common question that I get asked is, Josh, this is before I started my own company 12 years ago, but how long will it take for you to win a contract? The average, right? 90% of the market, it's going to take a year or two. That's very strategic. And only 10% are going to actually win a contract. Think about that for a moment. 90%, you're going to fire them. You're going to fire the average business developer before they ever win anything. The stars, folks, look at the numbers. It's still going to take 9 to 18 months to win a contract. Superstars, it's still going to take 6 to 12. Yes, on the commodity and the product side, you can win faster, right? But it's still going to take you 6 to 12 months to build a consistent, reoccurring revenue stream, okay? These numbers are primarily for the service industry, okay? And again, as I mentioned, exceptions are commodities or products. Let's talk some definitions, because we all hear them: prospecting, business development, sales, capture. Capture management, by the way, is very specific to the government. It's a phrase you don't hear often in the commercial space. Capture management is everything, okay? So when you're thinking about titles for your salespeople, right? A capture manager is responsible for the strategic side of building relationships. What are my 3 strategic targets for calendar year 2021? Not what opportunities you're going after, but what are the 3 primary targets? And capture management goes all the way through. You're helping the proposal manager or team, or even writing the proposal yourself, all the way through post-award and execution, okay? Bear with me. Somebody just walked in. I'm closing my door. Hang tight. And so capture management is like cradle to grave. Business development is the prospecting and the sales. So I just wanted to make sure that you understood, at least how we define these. And BD, which is what you'll be hiring for the most part, is about identifying opportunities, and most important, how do you move them through the pipeline? And those are the questions we're going to get into. Selecting the right salesperson. Let's talk resumes. It's a good start, but we all know that resumes are overinflated, okay? And they're going to give you exactly what they want you to see. So a resume is just a start. You're never going to want to hire somebody just because of the resume. All you're going to look at from a resume perspective is the references, which aren't even really that important, right? Because nobody's going to give you a bad reference. And most important are the answers you get to your questions. Folks ask me, well, what about, Josh, what about years experience? Is there an industry standard, a best practice? Yeah, years experience is important. However, what if they're just average? What if they've been a salesperson for 15 years? They've never been in charge of their own opportunities. They've been a member of a team of salespeople. And so they're really not personally responsible for bringing any business in. Well, yeah, their 15 years experience really doesn't mean much at that point. It's their win percentage. How many opportunities did they engage at the last company? And how many did they win? And so, when we talk about these common questions, industry experience, it depends. I can tell you, I'm not trying to, pat myself on the back, but I'm one of those 1%ers, right? I understand sales. I would say for someone like me, I don't have to know anything about your industry. There are exceptions. Medical device, right? If it's technology, doesn't matter. I can figure it out. Selling furniture, I can figure it out. So it depends whether you really need industry experience. Years experience, again, you focus on the win percentage. Don't focus on how long they've been a salesperson, because they could be just a totally horrible salesperson. How important is their background and set asides? Let's say whether you're a small, you're 8A, woman-owned, service-disabled, hub zone, Alaska Native Corporation, whatever the set asides you may have, how important are those when you're trying to find somebody? Do they have experience in working for a company with those set asides? Do not focus on that. Absolutely not important. Why? Because the value of your company is not your size or your status. The value of your company is the value that your products or services provide to your customers. So don't focus on, gee, have you ever worked for an 8A before? Have you ever worked for a woman-owned small bit? That completely ignores basic business principles. Don't do it. What's the average number of interviews? The average, and all of you will chuckle, it's about 3. Most folks interview about 3, maybe 4, sometimes 5. You need to do 10 to 15. If you're looking for a superstar or a star, which you're all looking for, and I'm about to show you how you can afford them, you need to do 10 to 15. Don't settle on average. I always get asked the question, hey, there's this retired general officer from the military, a 1-star, 2-star, whatever, or a senior executive. Sometimes. But here's the challenge, okay? Here's the challenge. Most general officers or senior executives, they're either beloved by the people that worked for them, or everyone that worked for them hates their guts. There's really no in the middle. What happens? You hire this general officer who says, I can bring you into the Pentagon. I can walk you I can take you by the hand, walk you into the Pentagon, or it's a senior executive, like really senior executive that worked at, the Food and Drug Administration or the Department of the Interior, some agency. Yeah, they can open doors. I mean, their former agency or military command will go, yes, sir. Yes, sir, we will see you. Well, you need to know whether or not they're liked, because everyone will take their meetings. Okay, you'll pay them $5,000-$10,000 a month. They will get you in, but everybody that they get you into, what if they go, God, we hate this guy. Oh my God, let's just humor him and get him and whatever freaking company this is out of our building. You have to think that way. Also, this is critical. Is the person you're interviewing, were they a lead or were they a part of a team? It's critical. In other words, did they do business development on their own with their own tactics and strategies, or were they riding somebody's coattails? Because they're never going to put in their resume, I was a part of a team and I really didn't win anything, but I was a part of it. You have to figure that out. I'm going to show you all the questions to these to figure out. It's almost, they're not trick questions, but questions that'll ensure you're getting the right people. And so the very first question that that you want to look at is, well, you should ask them, how long do you think it's going to take for you to win your first contract? Now, this is a interesting question, because 90% of the BD people, salespeople you interview are going to hate it. This is awesome because it immediately will identify for you their average, okay? Their response to it is going to tell you how mature they are. If the response is, well, it really just depends. I don't know, maybe, 6 months, maybe 4 months. Listen, and by the way, don't interview unless you're doing video conference or face-to-face. With COVID, do video conference. Watch their facial expressions. The average BDs, this scares the heck out of them, okay? The response is going to tell you how mature they are. This is my answer, okay? First of all, for me, when somebody says, how long do you think it's going to take? I'm going to go, there's a 3 to 6 to 12 month ramp up, right? 3 months to understand the company and how to differentiate and how to position. 6 months to fill the pipeline, right? To prospect and find opportunities. And by the way, I'm doing that during the first 3 months. And within the first 12 months, I'm going to meetings and industry days. I'm building relationships with other companies. I'm going to conferences, and I'm moving these opportunities through the pipeline. But CEO, hey, I'm going to be up and running in about 6 months. Now, most companies, and many of you are probably thinking, oh my God, why would I ever consider hiring a sales rep that's not even going to pay for themselves for 6 to 12 months? This is one of those expectations you need to set with yourself, okay? If you are, there are a lot of small business owners that are especially during COVID, are having trouble with cash flow, generating revenue. Don't think that you're gonna hire somebody and they're gonna win you this big contract in 2 or 3 months. When I say it, and you can hear my tone of voice, right? You're thinking, yeah, that doesn't make sense. But you're still thinking, I'm going to hire somebody and hopefully they'll win a contract in 2 or 3 months. Don't think that way. It's not realistic. And again, this is an answer I give when, this is many years ago, but this is also what I train companies to look for. And so, and here's the other thing. Nobody who interviews is going to want to say a year. They're not stupid. They're not dumb. They're likely going to say, it's going to take me 6 months. But in the back of your mind, don't accept 6 months. Just mentally say to yourself, look, I know it's going to take a year, but I need to hear them answer this question and how they answer it. And again, if they start sweating, you need to look for another candidate. And Question number 2 when you're interviewing, and by the way, now you know why you've got the slides off to the right, because you're going to want to download those. Download all these. This is the most important question. Hands down, if you remember anything from this presentation, can you outline how you identify opportunities, how you engage them, how you position with both the government and teaming partners, and how you ensure the proposal is competitive in order to win the contract? This talks everything from prospecting to positioning to differentiating to building relationships with other teams, and the handoff, if you're not being hired to also do proposals, the handoff to the proposal team in order to win the contract. Because if the company's large enough and you have a proposal writer, there must be more than a simple, here, write a proposal. What are your win themes? What's going to make you competitive? How's that proposal writer going to know that? Now, let me go down a rabbit hole. Very small companies are trying to hire business developers that also have experience writing proposals. And the answer is there's lots of them out there. They're called average business developers. You are not going to find a lot of stars or superstars, right? That 10% that are going to want to write proposals. I know some of you are going, God, we're trying to grow and there's so many roadblocks. It's basic business. The superstars want to focus on making money. The stars, the really good salespeople, they don't want to write proposals. They want to help the proposal team write competitive proposals, but they want to just pack their pipeline and make a lot of money. Okay? They're not going to be proposal writers. You may find some. If you find a star or superstar business developer that agrees to write, just recognize they're probably not that great at writing proposals. Otherwise, you wouldn't be hiring them as a business developer. You'd be hiring them as a proposal writer. That question I just walked through, right? This question, it is way more important than the references, okay? It is way more important than, well, gee, I won, I'm responsible for $10 million in contracts with FEMA or with Homeland Security or with the U.S. Army. Just because they won contracts, you don't know that they're the reason that they won the contract. You have to force them to walk you through how they think and their strategy, okay? So what I'm saying is look through the optics. Anyone can influence the references. Anyone can fake their past success. I mean, you've seen all the resumes. Focus on strategies for engaging opportunities. Now, that 3-6-12 ramp up. A really good salesperson will probably not say 3-6-12 ramp up unless they've attended one of my training sessions. But this is the thought process behind it, right? Hey, I can figure out, let's say that you're going to hire me, right? Josh, I can figure out what your solutions are in a matter of minutes, whether it's a product or a service. I don't care if I've ever worked in your industry or not. I speak English, I can read, okay? But I need to understand the value. I need to understand the value, because that's how I differentiate from the 100 companies you're competing against. I have to understand your past performance. It's not enough. Gee, we sold, this service. We did leadership management training for the Nuclear Regulatory Commission up in Maryland, right? That means nothing to me as a salesperson. I need to study that contract. I need to study the statement of work. I need to identify the value. What was the level of effort? How do I differentiate, right? Every opportunity that a strong salesperson engages, they're not just going, gee, do they buy what we do? Let's go after it. They're looking at, okay, I've been working for this company now for 3 months. I understand the value. And if the value wasn't properly communicated, I will develop the value and figure out how to position in the market. By the way, that's why you pay so much for a good salesperson. But I'm going to take that value and I'm going to map it. I'm going to crosswalk it against the requirements of every individual opportunity. Okay. And so a really strong salesperson, look, we're going to close I expect to close a major contract within the first 12 months. But I will focus tactically to close a deal before then. This is what strong sales professionals do and how they communicate and how they also convince other companies to team with them. Quick case study. This was like 18 years ago. There's a company called the Newberry Group. They're a cybersecurity company. They're headquartered in Maryland now. But when I left MasterCard, I was running DOD, the Department of Defense for MasterCard in DC. My dad was dying and I needed to move back home. And so this company said, hey, come work for us. And so the Brenda Newberry, the owner of the company, had me go through 3 interviews. And when I finally got to her, she said, Josh, how long is it going to take you to win a contract? And I said, it's probably going to take a large contract, about 12 months. And I'll be looking to win some smaller contracts in the interim. And she's just like, oh my God, why would I? And she said, she goes, wait a minute, I'm going to have you sitting on my bench for a year. And I walked through that 3, 6, 12 month. Look, first 3 months, understanding company, differentiate value. 6 months, pipeline is built. Next 6 months, all the way through 12, I am moving the opportunities through the pipeline. I am, positioning with strategic targets, all the stuff we've already talked about. I did not win a contract for Newberry in 12 months. I won a contract in 13. It was a $10 million contract, the largest contract for new business they had had in 5 years. Okay. However, I convinced her because of the maturity of how I responded. And what I'm saying is that's what you're looking for when you're interviewing salespeople. What are some other strong interview questions? Let me take a quick drink. Oh, I love coffee. Anyway, I digress. Walk me through how you perform business development. That's a good question. Even if you ask the other questions, you can still ask this question, right? And what are you looking for? You're looking for them to talk about prospecting. You're, full and open versus set aside, maybe. These IDIQ, SATAC, those are just umbrella contracts. Those are multiple award type contracts, right? You're definitely looking to hear them talk about intelligence. Now, all of these, how they build a pipeline, their relationship building, meeting with the government, working with proposal team, whatever. Initially, you don't ask them to describe this. If their response to walk me through how you perform BD doesn't touch on these, then have a bullet list in front of you and go, well, talk to me about intelligence. How important is it? Where do you collect it? Do you focus on full and open? Do you focus on set asides? And I would say it should be based on the opportunity, not whether it's full and open, etc. Another question: what systems do you use? Okay, now this is a dangerous question because we know average business developers, they spend all their time looking in systems instead of getting out of the office and getting out from behind their computer. Systems, excuse me, hold on one sec. Systems are not strong BD activities. It's just a tool, okay? So, I would even say for, well, Josh, let me go off on a tangent. Josh, should we pay for GovWin, Deltex GovWin? Should we pay for Bloomberg? Should we pay for one of these expensive services for finding opportunities? Not if you don't have strong business development activities in place, right? At a minimum, you should all start with the PTAX system, right? PTAX free. Use their system. Opportunities. again, I was just talking about the bid matching, contract management, those intelligence tools. You do need a CRM. Again, Zoho is like $15 a month. It's great. And again, you're more focused on their process and their strategy, not what system they use. And guess what? I would almost argue don't even ask the question. It doesn't matter. I don't care if they've used GovWin or some other system or GovTribe or whatever systems are out there. There's 1,000 of them. I can teach you how to use the system in a day. Who cares, right? So I would argue, don't put that into your job recs. What agencies' commands have you successfully sold to, right? And if they say, FEMA with Homeland Security, all right, talk to me about the greatest challenge you found in selling to FEMA. Again, make them think, make them talk the process and their methodology. This one, talk to me about your role at the last company and what you accomplished, okay? If all they say is, well, I did sales and I was in charge of the federal agencies. Well, that doesn't do anything. Everybody's in charge of something, right? Hey, on average, how many pipeline opportunities did you manage every month? If they stutter, you have a challenge. For me, like for the companies that I work with, right, yes, we are now moving into government contracting full time as well, but we're business coaches, right? We work with other companies. And so I tell all of our clients, hey, you need a minimum of 2 to 3 responses to a sources sought or a bid, to an or a proposal to an RFP or RFQ every month. Well, how many opportunities do you have to have in your pipeline to get that? And there's a whole process behind that, right? What's your quota? How many, do you win 5 to 1, 4 to 1? Bottom line, there's a whole calculator for that. But you want the person you're interviewing to think and talk like that, right? What was your bid percentage? If they can't tell you, well, gee, for every 5 opportunities in our pipeline, we submitted 1 bid or proposal. For every 10, 1 bid. And there's nothing wrong with saying 10 versus 5. What is their process? They need to know their bid percentage. How much revenue did you generate, right? And your win percentage, or win rate. Another question, was the majority of your efforts at your last couple companies or last one, were you primarily a prime or a sub? This is a really important question. If they were always prime, they probably understand business development. But if they were always a sub, oh, we never primed, we always subcontracted. Look, that's fine for a company, right? Money is money. But if you never primed, you probably don't know how to hunt on your own. And if you do, hopefully you're asking them questions to ensure, and that's that's why you ask this question. You want both. You want them to describe how they were both a prime and a sub. If they're just sub, you need to ask more questions to ensure they know how to be a prime and go after opportunities as a prime. This is another absolutely critical question. Absolutely critical. Hey, tell me about your BD team. This is almost a trick question because if they say, well, there really wasn't a team, it was just me. That's what you want to hear. Okay. First and foremost, if they say, well, yeah, I was a part of a team, I was in charge of this, ask the question, well, did you ever split commissions with others on your team? Now, they may be thinking you're asking the question because there's somebody else at your company they may have to split with. You're asking because you want to figure out how much responsibility they had to engage opportunities. If they're splitting commissions, I'm going to wonder how much of that win is a result of this person I'm interviewing, right? So were you on your own working as a team? Were you a senior salesperson or were you a junior? Again, I think all of you grasp the questions I'm asking, but I'm trying to drill home how important they are and why you're asking them, right? This is if you have a proposal team. This is really important. Talk to me about the process of handoff between you and the proposal team. Average salespeople, they just go, hey, I found this opportunity. You need to go write a proposal. You're not going to win. You're not going to win that opportunity. So you want to verify, did they provide strategic direction? Did they provide some intelligence? Did they stay engaged? Were they a part of the red team review, right? The final review of the proposal before it gets submitted? Did they, help the company talk with, various subcontractors and ensuring that everything is copacetic? You can't trust your gut. I tell people all the time, man, if my gut sounds an alarm, it is right 99% of the time. This is a part of that 1%. My spidey sense, your spidey sense, no matter how awesome you are at business, you cannot trust it. You have to ask the right questions, okay? Again, I'm beating a drum, the most important interview question. Outline how you identify those opportunities, how you engage them, how you position and differentiate, how you do that with both the government and your teaming partners, and how you ensure the proposal will be competitive or bid. Most important. Okay, I'm gonna take a drink of coffee because I love coffee. Okay, let's move to the second part of our session today, and that is, how do you afford the best? How do you afford that top 10%? Because most of you are going, I don't have the money. There's no way that I can afford these folks. And the answer is yes, you can. It's all psychology. Average base salaries are going to attract average business developers. That's number one, okay? Number two, they're not going to drink your Kool-Aid. As business owners, I'm a business owner. As business owners, we are proud, and we're looking for employees that are going to be as proud as us. Look what we're going to do. Look where we're going to take this company. Oh my God, you could move into upper management as we start closing contracts. The average business developer, they'll drink your Kool-Aid. The folks you're looking for, those stars and superstars, unless you're going to make them an owner, unless you're going to give them equity in the company, they don't care about your company. Let me say it again. They don't care. They just care about making money. Okay. So you can talk about the Kool-Aid and kumbaya with them. They don't care. They may say they do, but they don't. Drill this psychology into your brain. They're never going to be as excited about your company as you are. They want to make money, okay? Now, a lot of companies have this barrier, anything over $100,000. There is no way we can afford that compensation level, right? Maybe in a year or two after we win some contracts. Yes, you can. You can afford this. I'll show you in a minute, because you're confusing salary with compensation. And we're going to be talking about compensation packages in just a moment. The other part of psychology, they should make more money than you. Now, I'm not talking about your equity in the company and your dividends and your profit. I'm just talking your salary, right? As business owners, we all take salary. They, hands down, should make more than you. And you should accept that. If you want to hire and retain the best, right? You need to better understand these packages, and you're not going to get a superstar or a star without this full package. So the question is, how do you develop it? Okay. What you can, yes, it's all based on numbers. What you can afford to pay is going to be based on what you can afford for your base salary. Your salaries are going to be based on your fully burdened rates, right? What you're charging, your direct, indirect, fixed, variable costs, all that, financial statement stuff that we all run. That's then going to drive your pricing and your profit margins. And so if you have excessive costs, you have got to eliminate them. You have got to eliminate them. If you've got a whole floor of a building and you're paying, you know, $2,300 a month, and a half of it has just been storage for the last 2 years, give it back to the landlord and get your lease price down. All these excessive costs mean you're going to have higher pricing, right? It makes sense. If you have additional costs, your pricing is going to be higher than the competition. It has to be, because your G&A, your overhead, it's all going to be higher. If your pricing is higher than the competition, you're going to have to lower your margins in order to be competitive in your bid. And if your margins are lower, you're going to have less flexibility in your compensation packages. And if you have less flexibility, all you can afford is an average business developer, which means you're going to have lackluster sales and you're going to have a lack of revenue. Right? This is the waterfall if you're not controlling your costs. If you're not controlling costs, if your costs are excessive, you're going to have a lack of revenue. Period. Types of compensation packages. There's a lot more than this, right? But there's bonus. You know, you can do profit sharing. I've been in companies that did that. There've been spot awards. Here's $500. Here's $1,000. Great job on this. You can do the time off and education, flex time, whatever. But in general, and most of us as business owners have heard it, people prefer time off to more money. But that is for the average. Your stars and superstars, they are focused on making money. Okay, so they're really not going to care that much about those non-financial bonuses. They'll take them, but it's less important than what the average folks think. Commissions. Every small business goes through this thought process. And I get a lot of folks, Josh, will you do sales for us? No, we don't do outsourced sales, but a commission-only person almost never will win contracts for you. Why? They're on the beach. They're doing other things. They're not making any money right now. It's only commission. Commission-only salespeople is horrible. Okay, you know it in your mind. Even if you're thinking, well, I want to try to find somebody that'll sell for me and take a piece. Man, you're not taking basic business, principles into account. And by the way, the only people that'll take commission only, and you already know that 99.9% will never win anything for you. The only people that'll take commission only positions are your average business developers. It makes sense, right? Draw against commission. Oh my God, this used to be so popular. It is not popular nowadays, okay? Even corporations don't do this much anymore. Hey, we're gonna pay you a salary, but it's coming out of your commissions. Ugh, that's horrible. Most common is base commission and then base commission escalators. I'll talk escalators in a minute because you must have that in your compensation package. We're also gonna talk new versus residual versus renewal. Remember that commissions are designed to increase new business. The contract is new. Residual, that would be your option years on a new contract, right? The base year is year 1, and then you got option years 2 and 3 are, option years 1 and 2, right? Those are your residuals. Renewal is your 3-year or 5-year contract is over. You recompete to win it again, and you win it. What are you paying? And we're going to talk. I got a great slide that goes through that. So let's talk some case studies. The psychology. I have got to make everyone understand this because this is what'll put you at ease. Let's say that you have a salesperson, they win a contract for $500,000. Okay, new contract. Your profit is 15%. Commission is 5%. In this example, the company's making $50,000 in profit. Yes, you're paying your salesperson $25,000, but you're making $50,000. Next one, you decide to negotiate and say, you know what, 15, our profit was only 10. Okay, well in that case, you're only making 25. Your salesperson is making as much as you. And it should be that way. And the only reason why you're making 25 instead of 50 is because your overhead and your costs are too high. You can control those costs, okay? Some people go, what if I made a mistake in my pricing? If you made a mistake in your pricing, you're still paying $25,000 commission or whatever you agreed to. Let's say you win 4 contracts worth $4.5 million, okay? Your profit 15%, not bad, not bad, okay? 675. You're still paying commission 5% to that salesperson. 225,000, okay? They have a base salary. This is where it gets good, guys. They have a base salary of 65. Yeah, they're probably in the Midwest on that one. Their total compensation is 290,000. 290. But you're still making 385. Again, you want to make money, you need to have somebody bring those contracts in. If you don't want to give up, oh my God, 385, I'm giving $250,000 to a salesperson. Okay, well, imagine you didn't have that salesperson. Instead of making 385, you made $10,000. What are you going to do? Another example, same 4 contracts, right? Profit is still 15. Maybe you decide the commissions for new business will be 3%. So the total compensation, you're gaining 90,000. There's no right or wrong answer. You have to negotiate this. If you were trying to hire me as a salesperson, I'm not going to just take your percentages at face value. I'm going to negotiate them. That's what you're looking for, okay? And again, do you really care how much you spent when your annual profits increased by $500,000? Now, 3% is plenty of commission, right? Well, let's say you have 5 contracts, 24 million, profit, 3.6. We're going to keep the base salary 65. Oh my God, 3%. They're making 720,000 in commission. So they're making almost $800,000. But you're making almost 3 million. Even if their commission is negotiated to 5%, and they're making 1.2 million, you're making 2.3. Get it out of your head that that's too much. There is no such thing as too much. As a business owner, you either want to make money or you don't, okay? And you're going to have to negotiate. Your average business developers, they might make quota. They likely will not exceed it. And your company might increase some revenue. Or you make them the highest paid employee in the company, they make more than you, and you're making millions of dollars. Now, what about a sales manager? Let's say, because I've worked in companies where I worked for a sales manager, new contract 500, profit still 15. Instead of 5%, you have to give all your BD people 4 and 1% to the VP. You still make that 50,000, okay? You're going to split it though amongst your manager and their folks. And so if the VP of sales has 4 direct salespeople, each one wins 500, that's 20,000 in commissions. They're already getting a higher base salary. And if that VP wants to make more money, then they need to go after their own contracts in addition to managing the team. Now imagine you have 2 BD, you have 2 salespeople. They each hit their sales quota. They each make a total of 250K and you make $1 million profit. A lot of business owners go, nah, I'm paying 500,000 for salespeople. Nobody's worth that. Yeah, you're going to be wrong. Now we're going to close up today before we go into Q&A. This is probably the most awesome graphic. This will help you mentally understand. Remember, you have a new contract, base year, and then option year 1 and 2. Those are years 2 and 3, right? Contract is over. Everybody's competing for it again, and you'll win it again. That's your renewal. Here's an example, 5%. That's what you get for closing in the base year. 1.5%, in option year 1, 0.5 in year 2. If they re-win that contract for you, it jumps back to 2%. Option years 1 and 2, 0. Okay. So imagine it's $1 million contract, 15% margin, right? Your commissions for your salespeople should be going down so that your profits are going up each year. Renewal contract. Yeah, you're going to jump back up in commission, but then your profit starts going back up in the other years. So in this example, new contract, you're paying total commissions of $70K, but you're making $380. New contract, $20 to $430. The top salespeople, and by the way, commissions are designed to increase new business. This ensures that your salespeople are not sitting on their butts making all this compensation and not growing new opportunities. Average salespeople hate this process right here. And I'm telling you right now, I don't care if you're product or service. This is more applicable to service because of the renewals, but this is what you have to do, because you don't want to have a salesperson for 3 years and they're making $50,000 in commission every year, on top of their base. That's a 6-figure salary. You don't want that. Your top salespeople want to exceed. Now, escalators. You must build this in, product or service, right? Let's say the quota is $1 million, okay? They're going to get, in this example, all right, 5% new business. Their annual, it's from the last slide, that 0.5 to 1.5. Renewal, there's your 2%. For new business, let's say this year, instead of closing $1 million, they close 1.2. Everything for contracts. You don't split up your contract, I'm going to get 5% on the, let's say it was a contract for 1.2 million. It's 5% for that contract. You don't take that 200,000 and go, well, that I get 6% for. No. So they get a second contract, 6% is what they get in commission. Have these escalators, because the really good salespeople, this is at the end of the year, they've hit their quota and they're like, oh my God, if I just close one more contract, I can jump to 8%. Again, it's no money out of your pocket until you've won the contract and you're still making a lot more profit. When do you pay your commissions? Always on gross receipts. I'll say it again, always, always, always on gross receipts, and you pay it quarterly. It's going to save you time versus trying to do it monthly, okay? If you do it on gross receipts, you never have to borrow money. You never have to dip into your reserves, because you're only ever paying this compensation beyond your base salary after you've been paid by the customer, right? I don't know why you would do it any other way. Your obligations. What if you fire them 2 weeks after the contract's awarded? Well, depending on the reason, sexual harassment, 0, okay? If you fired them because they just simply weren't doing a good enough job, you were planning to fire them, yes, they all of a sudden they got this contract, but you were still planning to fire them anyway, you're going to pay 100%, but you're only going to do it for the base year. They don't get those option years. And it's, again, paid on gross receipts, which means they're going to wait a year, because they're going to get paid a little bit each quarter after you've been paid by the government. Contract is canceled by the government? No, commissions immediately stop. If they resign, I don't care if it's the day after they get the contract, they get 1/4 of commissions. If it's residual or a renewal year, they still get 1/4. Commissions should, think about this in your employment contracts, they should never be guaranteed unless they are still with the company. So what did we learn today? We went through a lot of stuff, but we talked about you've got to run a lean company if you want to afford the top salespeople. Get rid of those mental barriers. Psychologically, you've got to understand they're going to make as much, if not more than you, but you don't care because you're making all that profit sitting in your company coffers, okay? Every single one of you listening to this today can afford a superstar, but you have to have the right package. Set expectations, make sure we went through all those, interview questions. So before we go to Q&A, if you like learning and educating yourself about government contracting, all the top podcasts are, this is not just my company, it's like 12 other companies. We're all at govconpodcast.com. And a couple things. One, The Insider's Guide to Winning Government Contracts. It is the all-time now #1 bestseller on Amazon. It's mine for selling to the government. Grab that. Podcast at Talked FA. We give away about, 10 to 12 free templates and strategies within FA. You can sign up for free. You can download those. And very important, make sure you're engaging your local PTAC. And so with that, I will simply say thank you for coming today. I hope you learned something. I hope I gave you some good tactics. And I'm going to turn it back over to the Nebraska PTAC team for Q&A.
Hi, Josh. Thank you so much. A lot of information in that webinar. I don't have any questions coming in so far.
No questions.
Yeah, no questions. You answered them all in your presentation.
Well, it was either information overload or they're still digesting. I will say this. Excuse me. Sorry about the nose. If you have questions, contact Kathleen and her team, okay, over at the PTAC, or send me an email it's right there on top, contact@rsm, and we'll answer whatever questions you have.
Yeah, great. I do have a question from Matt. What strategies do you recommend for finding salespeople?
I should add that to my presentation. That is a great question. All right. So there are so many different ways. The best way is to network. The best way is to ask your colleagues and friends to be on the lookout for you and tell them what you're looking for. Okay, that's number one. Number two, network on LinkedIn. Okay, now the reality is no matter how you get somebody, you've got, if I haven't drilled this in, you've got to ask the right questions. You've got to understand, how they move through that business development process. Some people will use headhunters. The problem with a headhunter is you're going to pay a big flat fee up front, or a percentage of their first year, salary. For small businesses, I'm sorry for all the headhunters out there, but for small businesses, I don't recommend using a headhunter. I recommend, unless you're looking for a position where the base salary is going to be $250,000 plus, yeah, maybe. But even then, you should be talking to your network, talking to your colleagues and your peers. That's really the best way. You could LinkedIn. I'm fumbling here. I'm going in circles, but LinkedIn, peers, colleagues, friends. Yeah, I'd stay away from the headhunters. If you have an association, if you're technology and you're a member of AFCEA, or your architecture, engineering, construction, you're a member of SAME, right? These are massive organizations that have local chapters in your city. Yeah, ask around. So short answer, it's what you would think it is. However, I don't care where they come from. You got to do your due diligence and ask the right questions.
Great. I have another question from Doug. Does my federal business developer need to be located in the Beltway to have the best success?
Oh, God, all right, hold on. Must be in Beltway and where find BD. Great question again. I would argue no, you do not need to be in the Beltway. What you need to have is strong business development acumen. You need to know how to prospect. You need to know how to build relationships. You need to know how to get out from behind your computer. There's a webinar I give on how to properly do prospecting and business development in the federal market. And there's 20 prospecting methods, okay? But there's only 3 that are core. One is, do you know how to collect market intelligence? Do you know how to team with other companies? And do you know how to focus pre-acquisition? In other words, you're not waiting for RFPs to drop. You're focused on positioning in the market before they ever come out. If you know how to do those 3, teaming with other companies, collecting market intelligence, and whatever my third one was, if you know how to do those 3, you can be anywhere in the frickin' country. Okay, so no. Are there exceptions? Yeah, I guess there's exceptions based on what you sell, maybe because of facility clearance, some other stuff, maybe. But I will stereotype and say, in general, no, you do not need to be in the Beltway. And I know why you're asking that question, because you're thinking salary. So it's a great question. No, you don't have to be in the Beltway.
Great, thank you, Josh. I
Yeah,
think you mentioned earlier, but is there one of the other webinars that you did for us this year? Is there a certain one that they should watch in, with this webinar, or before going deep diving into this webinar?
I forgot what it's called, basic practices for prospecting in the federal, whatever my prospecting webinar was, okay? The basic prospecting to accelerate government sales.
Yep.
If you watch that, all these questions we went through today in terms of the interview, it should make a lot more sense.
Okay, great. Yes, if anyone wasn't able to view that or would like to watch it again, I have a link to a recording, and we also have the PDF version of the slides. So just send me an email.
Awesome.
That's about all we have for questions today, Josh. Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
I hope you and everyone else has a great rest of your week.
All right, everybody, take care.